Well, good evening, everybody. And we are actually live. This is Bishop Larry Ward. I'm BLAW Live. Bishop Larry Ward, BLAW Live. So good to have you with us on this Tuesday evening. I want you to go out there and share. So as you're coming on, tell somebody that we're on tonight and we're going to be talking about caregiving in the pandemic. And we're here tonight with Marissa Cooper, occupational therapist, and she's going to answer some questions for us about how do we provide care for our loved ones and significant others that we need to make sure that we're taking all the precautions that we need to take. And she's going to talk about her particular position as a occupational therapist. And as we go through this time together, we want you to ask your questions. So as you're coming on tonight, share with someone. Thank you so much for being a supporter of BLAW Live, and so we're going to begin. So hi, Marissa. We
Hello,
want to welcome you. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on tonight. I appreciate it.
Good. Glad that you can do this interview with us. So we always are interested in stories, and BLAW Live really has a focus on how we can educate, inform, and inspire people.
hmm
And so we have different guests on. And so tonight, thank you for being our guest and talking about caregiving. So tell our audience who may not be familiar with you and don't know you, where you're at, what you're doing, and how did you become an occupational therapist?
Okay. So I'm Marissa Cooper. You might know my mother, Jacqueline Cooper, and Nathan Cooper, my father. And I'm also Bishop's niece, favorite niece. We'll say that.
Please.
Um, so I became an occupational therapist. I've been an occupational therapist now for about 7 years. So I did my bachelor's in pedology, which is child studies, and then I got my master's in occupational therapy. So to do that, it was about 2.5 to 3 years to get my master's in occupational therapy straight, through no summers off or anything. It's pretty intense program. They only accept 30 people in every year, over 500 or 1,000 applications that they get. I graduated from Winston-Salem State in North Carolina, very good school. So occupational therapy is the use of assessments and interventions to develop, recover, maintain, and meaningful activities. So basically, what I do is everything that you take for granted on a daily basis when you get up, being able to get out of the bed, going to the bathroom on your own, brushing your teeth, making yourself a cup of coffee or tea in the morning, or even getting dressed, getting in and out the shower. I help someone, get back to doing that independently without any assistance. Whether you had a stroke or had a heart transplant, liver transplant, or you had a knee replacement, hip replacement, cancer, heart attack, anything you name, car accident, I do that.
Wow.
So give a brief little history. I wanted to become anything in the health field, basically. I wanted to help somebody. Before I wanted to be an EMT until I saw, actually, it was across the street from the church. They brought somebody down and she probably was about 400 pounds. And I was like, yeah, EMT is not for me because I would have to be doing this. So then I thought about, let me be a nurse. I didn't get into the nursing program at Bowie State, so because I was enjoying the college life, so my grades weren't great. So then I started doing pedology, which is child studies. So I was a preschool teacher for a year. And then I was like, there's something else for me. This is not it. So I watched a TLC special where it was conjoined twins who got separated at birth. And one lost oxygen during the surgery and needed occupational therapy. So just, I was like, playing with kids all day, I can do this. This is great. But as I further developed into understanding what occupational therapy is and caring for my grandfather, I was like, okay, I want to do geriatrics, which is the elderly. So I worked in skilled nursing facilities, doing rehab after coming from the hospital. I also worked in the hospital. I did traveling contracts going to California, having 13-week contracts, also going to Texas for 13 weeks, and then I came to Maryland. I went to undergrad in Maryland, so I already knew a little about Maryland. I was supposed to be here for 13 weeks, and now it's been almost 5 years that I've lived here. So now I'm in Maryland. I'm doing home health. So I'm going into people's houses during the day and helping caring for them. So my typical day is like I have about 7 to 9 patients on a typical day, and I'm going to each one of their houses for about 30 to an hour long. And I do their assessment, say, what's going on. Either they just came from the hospital or they have arthritis or it was a referral from the doctor that they just needed some strengthening activity. Can you come in for a couple of times, like 5 visits to get them back on track? So I come in, do their assessment, see how they do moving around their house, how they get on and off the toilet, if I can recommend any modifications as far as grab bars, shower chairs, maybe a seat in the kitchen. So when they're cooking, they can sit down and take a break instead of standing and leaning on the counter. Seeing what fall risks they have, also educating family. A big part is educating family how they can help to keep their loved ones safe. Also, I might just do little stuff. Now, everything since the pandemic, people are doing more stuff online. Now, if you know any 80, 90-year-olds working a computer, they're like, how do I set up a doctor's appointment? Or now the visits are online. How do I get online to do this? So just problem solving, doing things like that for them.
Wow. So when it comes to your job,
Hmm.
it's becoming a little bit more than what you started dealing with prior to COVID,
Yes.
because now you're dealing with helping family members try to figure out how to care for their caregivers. So what are kind of things that you tell caregivers who have someone at home that will be helpful to a person's therapy?
So partly some of the issues that go in, the caregivers don't know what to do or how to do it. Either they might be living at somebody else's house and now their mother or father is sick. So, and their mother and father does not want the help. Well, they want the help, but they don't want to feel like a bother or a hassle to their loved ones. So they don't call when they really need help. And they probably needed help before going into the hospital, but they figured that they can do it themselves. So what we do is talk to their loved ones and say, like, okay, you might need to come more to help fix a meal. Maybe you need to fix all their meals so I can help teach them to get to the refrigerator or to the microwave to warm up their meals. Or now doing grocery shopping because they can't get out.
Mm,
Or here's a list of exercises you can do with them.
wow. So
Or
is that
even just calling them on a daily basis to check in.
yeah, checking in is very important, especially if you know the person could feel very isolated. But it's also hard to get people to check in to some degree because everybody feels like they're in a space where they're isolated too.
Right.
So it's like, okay, everybody seems like they need a phone call, including the caregiver. So
Yeah.
do you see caregivers? Okay, um, just want to stay on caregiving for a moment.
Hmm.
Do you see a lot of people getting burned out providing
Definitely.
care for their loved
I
ones?
definitely. I also tell them like either join a support group or talk to your pastor or just talk to other family members to come in and help out because sometimes you might not be the only sibling. Have another sibling come in because you're burnt out or just a weekend away or something because they definitely get burned out.
Yeah. So how do people get the care to their loved ones that need it in COVID? So, you know, they may not have their children or family members in that particular state or that
Mhm.
particular area where they can get to them. And plus COVID, because, you know, folks are still waiting for the vaccine, it might not be healthy for them to come from one environment into that person's environment. So what would you say is a helpful way to deal with maybe that caregiver who's just kind of there and they cannot necessarily call too many people for help because of just the pandemic? What might you say to them?
So partly I say I try to do whatever I can to help out to lighten their burden of care with their loved one. The other thing is like maybe you just instead of trying to go to the grocery store and do stuff, order your groceries to come. Like try to lighten your load as much as possible so you don't get too burnt out. I also provide resources. This client might have a case manager that we can call and say, okay, we need more help here at their residence. So can we get an aide for a couple hours or services for food services that they can't afford it, just different things that I even talk to my other coworkers. Hey, do you know a program that helps do this? Hey, so always networking and trying to see what we can do to make it easier for them.
Wow. Wow. So let's talk about um just kind of the issues that you come up in challenge with on your daily work. How are you taking care of you?
Well, sometimes after having seeing 9 to 10 people a day and they're telling me about their problems, because sometimes they don't even just want therapy, they just want me to be there and having a listening ear and they just loading all their problems on, which I can completely understand. I just be when I come home, I'm just like, I can't talk to nobody else. Some of my friends want to call and I'm just like, not today. I'm tapped out. I'm tapped out of hearing people's problems. I just can't. So what I like to do is like debrief as watching a show that I like, or just listening to music, or pray, or anything what I can do just to like relax.
Wow.
Or do something fun on the weekends because I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to hear nothing else. So it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure it is. Caregiving is definitely hard on the therapist as well.
Mm-hmm. And even going into people's houses, I don't know what I'm going to encounter when I open that door. They might be having behavior issues. They might just don't want to see me, or they're in so much pain, or anything that I just have to pray before I even go into the door. Like, please, Lord, equip me to whatever I need to deal with this patient at this time.
Yeah, yeah, and he does that. You know, he'll give you the grace that you need in order to handle the challenges. That's the two parts of grace. Grace is the favor, and grace is also the ability to stand up under pressure.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So when it comes to your thoughts that now that we are in the pandemic, about a year, come into a year.
Mhm,
It's just been a little bit over a year since the first case of COVID was discovered.
mhm.
Um, so how did how did your organization prepare you that when you first came in, if you just kind of just think back, what was it like when it's like, okay, you have to protect yourself from COVID-19, not a whole lot of information on it, you need your PPE equipment on. What was that like?
So in the beginning, they didn't really prep us because everybody was trying to get the PPE when it was happening. So there was back orders. They might give us 2 masks at a time, and it's like I'm seeing all these patients every day. What do you mean 2 masks? What can I do with this? So just me purchasing stuff just so I can protect myself and patients.
Wow.
And also them trying to develop policies, because if we are in close encounter to somebody who has COVID, what do we do? Because we went in, we probably didn't know they had COVID based on they just came from the hospital and fine, but there's a family member that had COVID and they've been around them. So now we've been in the environment and we were exposed. Do we not work? anymore for 2 weeks to stay, the 14 days that they were giving us before, or are we good because we don't have any symptoms? Just what are we supposed to do? So really the policies and stuff didn't come in place until probably 6 months after the pandemic, because everything was just new. All the news development was like, okay, this is what, now it's airborne, now it wasn't airborne. Like, what are we supposed to do?
Wow.
Also, the pandemic kind of like, I guess, hindered some of my treatment because some people are not allowing you access to their house. I have a couple of patients where I could just enter the doorway and there was a chair there for them to do their exercise, and that's it. Like, I could not pass that doorway at all. But here I am supposed to look at your house and modify and have all this. It's like, no, you got to just stay right here. Or you have to enter through the garage. You can't enter through the front door. So it makes my job hard because I really can't do to the best of my abilities because I'm only right here. That's all I can do. So I'm either like talking to a family member, like, well, can they do this? Can they do that? Can you take a picture? Can you show me something? Like, how can I adjust this or modify this if I can't see them do anything?
Right. Wow. That's a very hard situation to deal with. How do you help people and you don't have all the data
Mm-hmm.
to do that? And so has it been better for you in terms of getting you the proper PPE and the
Yes,
vaccines
that
and
is definitely better. They're giving us a lot of gloves and hand sanitizer, wipes, and PPE if we do have a COVID patient. Shoe covers, that's another thing. Some people don't want you to wear the shoes in the house, so you got to take your shoes off at the door, leave them outside. You can only bring this in, can't bring that in.
wow,
So, yeah. Do you have a gown? Did you take a test? Asking all these questions before we even enter into the household.
that's that's amazing. That's amazing. So what are the things that you would tell us um, that you know from an occupational therapist standpoint, you kind of come in to really help that individual, whether they be a person who has a stroke or a person maybe who's really need of the type of therapy that you do in many cases. What would you say to families now um, that probably can't go to the hospital um,
Mhm.
and they're not able to get the type of care because just right now a lot of people are just deferring that, and sometimes to some degree the hospital says we don't want you coming to the hospital.
Right.
So how are they dealing with that right now?
So definitely, like, if there's a problem with you, you talk to your doctor and you can get referrals to our home therapy to come in to help kind of adjust and see what we can do at first. And then we will look at you and like, oh no, this is more of a serious matter and you do need to go either to the hospital, or it's not too serious and we can work with you, but then we refer you to outpatient.
Right.
But also, taking so I have a client who's been falling a lot since the pandemic because she used to do water aerobics, she did Zumba, she did Tai Chi, and she's not able to go out and do that anymore.
Mm.
So one of the suggestions I had is get some Tai Chi videos, call your girlfriend up that you normally used to go with, put it on both at the same time and do Tai Chi with her, but she's over the phone. So you can still keep up with your activities, but you're just now in a different setting.
Right. Right.
Because you got to keep yourself moving, even though it's quarantine, keep yourself moving, walk around the house, do your exercise, eat right. That's the biggest thing as well.
Well, so now it requires a lot of the patient and those who are caregivers to be innovative
Mm-hmm.
on how to help their loved one to better adjust to dealing with COVID and not having the access to all the facilities and everything that they probably would have had before.
Definitely.
Interesting. Wow.
You just gotta
Well,
be creative.
yeah, you got to be creative. It's just interesting. It's just interesting. Um, So when it comes to faith, and I know we talked about prayer, just how do you go into these homes and serve your clients? How does faith work with you in terms of
So
your
I
faith?
feel like I was called to do this as far as working with clients because I have so many thank you cards of like, stay the same, be yourself, you do an excellent job, you helped me get my arm to move like it was moving before, like you're awesome. And it's really good. I'm humbled by it because it's like, well, I thought I did okay. But no, I did a lot. Just even having someone being able to wipe themselves again to go to the bathroom or to even put their shirt on. I always tell them to celebrate your small wins
That's really good.
and just learning from them because people are waiting until they retire to travel and have fun and stuff. And they're like, no, do not wait till you retire because you might end up like me. So that's why if you see I'm always somewhere posting pictures on Facebook because I've learned from patients that live your life right now. Don't wait until you're 50, 60, 70 year olds until you retire.
That's good. That's good. You need to take advantage of the opportunities while you do have them and have your health.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely do.
yeah. And so when it comes to those who have their health,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we're living longer, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we're,
Definitely.
we're seeing a trajectory of just our, folks living into the hundreds. Um, but we're not necessarily always
Right.
mobile as we are as we get older. How what might you say to someone who's in their 50s, in their 60s, in
Mm-hmm.
their 70s to get the most out of their ability to stay mobile and active?
Definitely sign up for a gym or a class or get one of your friends to go with you because that's gonna best motivate you or your significant other to do something to stay active, to move around, even walking in the park, just be out.
Just try to get out and at least walk,
Yeah.
at least do something, every day that get you on your feet,
Or even change your eating habits, eat better.
So what kind of diets do you see people eating that seem to folks that may, I don't know, is it, as you start to look at the type of diets that people have, is there
So
things
the
that people are
biggest
eating or not eating that's helping them with their therapy?
so the biggest thing is a lot of patients have high blood pressure, diabetics, either they have dialysis. So just eating the right foods as a low sodium diet or a less, sugar diet. Not particular what type of food to eat, but just eat more fruits and vegetables.
So are you an advocate for a high plant-based food diet?
No, you still can eat meat. Still enjoy your meat.
just don't eat it. Just
Just,
don't eat it
modify
fried.
it.
Just don't fry it too much.
Exactly. Use the air fryer now.
Don't fry it.
You can still eat what you want, but just in moderations.
But exercise and getting out is the key to keeping your mobility.
Definitely keep moving.
That's good. That's good. So as we're starting to think about um, how physical therapists and occupational therapists work, particularly what you do. Um, where do you see it going as you're doing your we're now still in COVID, post COVID. Where do you see occupational therapy kind of going as a direction?
So the thing is, not even just with COVID, they have starting to change like Medicare laws where people are not staying in like the nursing homes as long because they're not getting funded for them, reimbursed for them as much as they were getting before. So now you're in a nursing home like 21 days or less, and they're kicking you straight to doing home therapy where part of the time is you probably wasn't ready. You could have needed you could have done like another month in rehab and then came to us because we don't have the same equipment as they do. As far as maybe someone walking, now it's just me trying to get them up out the bed instead of having another therapist there. Sometimes we can co-treat and have another therapist, as far as me working with another physical therapist the same time, but sometimes our schedules don't meet up like that. So the whole thing of changing just in the Medicare laws and not just post COVID. As far as post COVID with occupational therapy, especially home care, I see it growing because people are more comfortable of letting you in their house instead of them going to a facility because they don't know what they can catch or what it's going to be like.
So do you think that because of the pandemic and many people who are in facilities were actually ravished by COVID, do you think that puts it in the minds of a lot of family members and people in general, hey, if at all possible, never go to a facility, stay home?
I think it all depends on what's wrong with that patient. I would say that how much level of care that they need, that if the family members are able to provide that at all. Because if somebody is dependent to get in and out the bed, sending them home is just as bad as sending them to the nursing home because now you can't move them out the bed. So they're developing bed sores and other issues that could have been prevented if you did send them to a nursing home just for a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's kind of what is best for you and your family. Because now everybody is at home and working. However, they still have to do their job and care for their loved one at the same time. Or they even have their children there. So they're working, they're doing schoolwork and then also caring for their loved one and doing their work. So it's a lot.
No, it is. It's definitely a lot because I it's very interesting to see how COVID, post COVID, is going to impact families going forward as to their health care, as
Hmm.
well as their education and how they do their work.
Hmm.
Um, it might be just a lot going on in the home as it relates to just making sure that people are taken care of.
Right.
Yeah.
Even I'm dealing with people who've had COVID. So some of them just building up their endurance still, trying to get moving, either having the oxygen machine on and trying to get off of oxygen, um, just different things like that to even try to get back to working again.
Well, yeah, that's good insight. Um, so in our next 3 minutes, we got about 3 minutes left. What kind of resources do people need um, to be good caregivers to their loved ones who need occupational therapy?
Um, Definitely pay attention to your loved one and seeing what are the needs so you can, talk to their doctor. That is one. As far as looking out for different resources, as far as maybe getting an aide that can be there for a couple hours to make sure they're safe while you do something else. The other resources, connect with a support group because there's other people dealing with the same issues that you're dealing with. So definitely having a shoulder to lean on will help you out.
No, that's good. That's good. And family members, just want to talk to family members that giving care to their loved one, that there is support for you. There is, especially if that's why one of the things about church is that you go to a local church,
Hmm.
you have a community of people that
Definitely.
somebody can probably come in and watch your loved one for a few hours and give you a break, or you know
Hmm.
just having that community to be supportive to you, that you can talk to someone, because it's really a tough situation when you've got your own uh, things to do and to take care of your own family if you do have family members at home, and so there's a lot going on caregivers. So caregivers, they definitely have to bear a lot of the load. And so thank you for being an occupational therapist that comes in and helps family members and really
Thank you.
doing that hard work. I know it's a lot of hard work, and I know it's a lot of work that you put into keep families together and keep them healthy and
Mhm.
making sure that their loved one is taken care of. So I want to thank you for being out there on the front line, because it's on the
Thank
front
you.
line. That's the
Yes,
front line. You know, you got you face the challenges of what's going on, and
definitely.
so we
And
pray.
I just got my first COVID vaccine. I got my first dose on Sunday. I'm
How you
feeling good.
feel?
No issues. I'm not turning into a zombie or anything. I just had soreness in my arm, just like if you get the flu shot, no problem. Everything's good.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and this
You're
is a
welcome.
great opportunity that we had to spend some time with you. So uh, thank you, and
You're
we'll,
welcome.
we'll we'll definitely have you back on again to talk about, you know, occupational therapy, because who knows what changes that we're going to be heading into
Definitely.
as we go forward in this trajectory. So thank you for being our guest tonight. And for those of you that are here with us online, thank you very much for joining us and supporting Bishop Larry Ward Live, the BLAW Live program every Tuesday evening at 7. And we're going just for 7 to 7:30. Next week, we're also going to have a guest talk about their experience and how they've actually got their dream job. And so we're going to be talking about that on next week with Darlene Reed. So you want to be a part of this discussion on and hear her share her story, but it's pretty amazing. So thank you all, and have a great night, everyone. Be safe,
Mhm.
and take care of your loved ones and take care of yourself. Take care now.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye.
Bye.